Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys the full spoilers of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 12. As of this recording, we've got a pretty sizable chunk of the chapter laid out for us, either in the form of text or translated pages. So like usual, I'll grab the core info from the leaks that cover everything that stands out the most, and for the parts that I want to wait for full context on, I'm going to wait until I get the full chapter translated by a couple of people so that I can weigh in accurately without jumping the gun. The chapter, as a reminder, officially drops on the 19th this month on the Viz Media Shonen Jump app and Shueisha's Manga Plus app, both of which are free for you to read the chapter. Since we got the translation a couple of days before the official release, my chapter review editor and I will try to have it up by the 19th, but it might end up being the 20th when the review drops. Depends on how quick I can give them the audio today. So thank you in advance for your patience and for your understanding. So with this chapter, we have a prime example of what I've been saying for the last 3 years now, which is reading ongoing manga means having patience and not getting triggered when something happens that you don't like, because it will probably be addressed at some point in the future. This time, everyone that was complaining that Sarada got tagged off guard by a Hidari, that she didn't improve for the last 3 years, and that she was useless, everybody that said that looks silly. Based on what we have here, not only does Sarada play a key role in the defeat of Hidari, but she's also going deep into her bag of ninjutsu, showing that she wasn't just sitting around for the last 3 years and not training. Not only that, but we have more information that directly upscales Jura, Damon, and Boruto like crazy, in a way where Boruto haters, they're going to be punching the air if they're still delusional enough to think that Madara beats Boruto. The Rasengan Uzuhiko is even more insane than we ever thought, and Boruto's words to Code that, quote, killing you would be easy, they were not talk from Boruto. He not only is able to back up these words, but we see firsthand just how much damage Boruto is holding back against Code, which now makes you look at Boruto and the words that Delta told him a lot differently, where she says, how much did you train, or what kind of training did you do, depending on the translation you go with. Boruto is absolutely broken in his base, and the fact he's doing all this without karma makes the Momoshiki threat that much larger. Starting things off with Sarada, things heat up pretty quickly once she's recovered from Hidari's blindside Chidori, and she steps in to help Boruto in this battle with Hidari, but it's not without us once again seeing she's making the mistake that she did last month, which is she's still making the bad judgment call of not using the Sharingan for the full fight. But I'll drop my Sarada video tomorrow. I've been sitting on regarding this topic. However, even with her Sharingan off, she's busting out Chidori's stream when Hidari tries to sneak attack her. She's using her superhuman strength to throw Hidari into Boruto's Rasengan attack, and the way that she is so flawlessly adapting to Boruto makes you wonder, was she using something like the Talkie app in order to prepare for this moment? Which that brings me to this. I'm going to recommend a super fun app for all my anime fans out there. Talkie is a new and free social network that allows you to talk to all your favorite virtual characters that range from your favorite video game characters or anime characters, like say someone from My Hero Academia, or in this case Boruto Uzumaki. One of the really cool things about Talkie is the mini theater feature, which allows you to step into the shoes of your favorite characters and explore some of the more iconic stories. So like for instance with Naruto, you're able to replay Naruto and Sasuke's final battle, choosing whichever side of the battle that you want. Talkie provides you with the chance to hold real conversations with them. So for all my fellow Boruto fans, if you got a few things you want to say to them about who you should choose from Sarada or class rep, this is your chance to do so. Say there's a plot hole in the story that you want to bring up with the character, feel free to use Talkie to bring it up. Like for instance, I asked Itachi, why didn't you just save Izumi? Why'd you have to kill her?
I didn't have a choice. She was part of the Uchiha clan and I was ordered to kill her. It was either her or me, and I chose to live. I know it was wrong, but I had to think about Sasuke.
Want to make a suggestion to Boruto about who Boruto should end up with? Use Talkie to converse with Boruto why he should choose Sarada, class rep, Chocho, or you can even try and talk him out of it. What makes this app so cool is that it is bringing your favorite anime characters to life. With Talkie, you've got over 100,000 different characters. I mean, you got all different types of different categories, from talking to characters like Gojo to Pochita, Muzan from Demon Slayer. You can even talk to characters from the Harry Potter franchise, each with their own personalities and voice tones, meaning you mad lads can go absolutely crazy with the unlimited options at your disposal. So what are you waiting for? Explore your fantasy with text and voice. Download the Talkie app for free by using my link in the description box and start conversing with your favorite anime characters for free. Now, what's also really interesting here is the fact that Boruto's fighting style that he's showing in this chapter is that he is fighting a lot like Minato in the way that he is shown using the flying raijin in battle, and he is showing those extreme signs of having Minato's genetics, just like Kakashi said when Kakashi basically said he's the second coming of Minato by directly saying that he literally inherited the genius genetics of the fourth Hokage. Just as Minato is able to accurately and quickly break down the weaknesses of Obito's Kamui after only seeing it used in action twice against him, Boruto has now seen Hidari's fighting style up close enough times that he's able to put a counter strategy in play that directly counters Hidari's Rinnegan powers, and he's taken complete charge of the situation. The moment that Boruto is able to see Hidari use his claw marks and how he uses them in conjunction with his Rinnegan, he breaks down the jutsu pattern, and we see Boruto doing what he did with Mitsuki, using his shuriken jutsu as a distraction. It flies past Hidari's head, and he uses that opening to teleport behind him, and he just lands a Rasengan in the back of Hidari's neck, and he takes a page right out of Minato's Flying Raijin Stage 2 jutsu. Now, it's not the same thing as the Flying Raijin Stage 2. It's very similar though, and I think that's very impressive nonetheless. There's nothing here that directly says that Boruto's teleportation is at a faster increase than Flying Raijin Stage 2 was, but again, very impressive Boruto did this. At this point, we need to start asking the very serious question: has Boruto begun adding his own flair to more of Minato's jutsu? Like, for instance, God forgive me for even saying this name and subjecting you to hearing it, but Minato's Spiraling Flash Super Round Dance Howl Style Stage 3 Jutsu, where he throws a bunch of Flying Raijin Mark Kunai to teleport himself and his shadow clones behind the target, making lightning flashes that blow back the enemies and blow back their attacks, with the kunai being in a circular pattern around the enemy to allow Minato and his shadow clones to continuously attack them from all sides. Boruto is crafty enough to put his own spin on the jutsu, the way that he has been shown adding his own variations to the jutsu that he's learned so far and making each of them his own. He doesn't directly copy one for one whatever jutsu you teach him. Now, what's also very interesting here is the fact that Hidari is beginning to start using claw grinds in the battle itself by summoning them to the battlefield, so there's still more of them out there. Code has completely lost control. These claw grinds are now answering to the awakened Shinju, and the reason why he's doing this is because he's getting pressure here. And I like this whole sequence because it's very enjoyable, because it shows the members of Team 7, they're all linking up and they're fighting together and they're all playing their roles accordingly. You got Konohamaru playing the support role by protecting Boruto and Sarada by using his Rasengan Spiraling Barrier Jutsu, Sarada setting up attacks of Boruto, and Boruto's dishing out the heavy damage each time he gets into the fight. The usage of teamwork here is a classic callback to Naruto again. One-on-one fights are cool, but teamwork from the very beginning of the Naruto series was always encouraged. And what I love about this, and what we've seen so far, is that basically Boruto is serving as a large sword, while Konohamaru serves as the shield, and Sarada serving as the smaller sword to set up the killing strikes by the larger sword. They're a very well-oiled machine at this point, and it's very refreshing to see the teamwork utilized in this manner, especially when you realize this is the first time in 3 years they've ever fought together. However, again, don't get it twisted up. Boruto is the one that is most cracked here. He is doing a lot of the heavy lifting, while Sarada is busting out the Shidori stream and she's stunning Hidari, and she's using that superhuman strength to throw Hidari into Boruto's attacks, which again, very disappointed she's not using her Sharingan, but I will address that in tomorrow's video. That's been delayed because I was waiting for a sponsor to approve it. They took too long, so couldn't use that video, so I'll edit the sponsor part out. But basically right here, Boruto reveals the Rasengan Uzuhiko is not only stronger than we thought, but the jutsu itself is even more powerful as it is. It is still incomplete, which, Jesus, that is crazy. Code stocks, they're about to plummet with this next set of information. Not only was Boruto holding back when he used the Rasengan Uzuhiko, and he nearly killed Code in the process despite holding back, but he was also holding back the full lethal effects of the jutsu on a super massive scale, because the jutsu that Boruto used on Code, it was a baby version of the attack, and it still managed to shake the planet to a degree, and it still left Code near death doing the woozy woozy. Boruto, when he uses this full thing in the chapter, is releasing so much chakra that the ground, it is breaking from the spiraling vortex of his attack. And he's not just making a miniature vortex like we saw with Code, where it was just contained to the surface of his body, but instead this one is so massive that it doesn't just blow Hidari away like it did Code when Boruto sent him flying through the air, but instead it hits him with so much freaking force that Hidari literally has his entire body destroyed minus his head, a small piece of his shoulder, and his arm. Everything else has been vaporized. Boruto did that much damage to Hidari with the Rasengan Uzuhiko, a jutsu that is still not completed, which makes you wonder how strong is the completed jutsu going to be. And that also now makes you look at Jura and upscale him that much more. Jura has been built up as being above Hidari and the other Shinju and being above Boruto. All this information now makes you put Hidari on another tier. This is also something that makes you look at Damon and upscale him that much more as well, because Damon has told us that at the end of part 1, despite him destroying Code, who was scaling over Jigen, that Damon has never used his full power in a fight. Damon, he sensed Boruto's Rasengan Uzuhiko, and the best Boruto ever got out of Damon was a half-ass smirk where before the kid put his head back down on Ada's lap and went back to sleep, he's like, oh, how cute. Boruto's the one doing this, smiles and puts his head back down. If power like that isn't enough to get a reaction out of those two to make them apprehensive of Boruto, we might need to officially open Pandora's box. Not like the trolling I've done on thumbnails, but officially open the box and start having the discussion. A legitimate discussion. If at any point, at the very least, Boruto and Jura have already surpassed Ishiki in power, potentially adding Damon in there since he's on that sliding scale. And it is important to note that Amato and Boruto Naruto Next Generations, he was quick to tell us that he had made several humans and a cyborg stronger than Jigen, but each and every time when it was in reference to Code, it was always referenced that he had a disclaimer to him that he is stronger than Jigen but weaker than Ishiki. No such disclaimer was ever made for Damon, and sticking with it, it's kind of hard to imagine that Amato didn't at least make one of those cyborgs somebody strong enough for whatever he calculated Ishiki's power to be. Ishiki, and by extension Baryon Mode Naruto, they appear to be going the route that Frieza was in the original Dragon Ball manga, where he was built up as this monster villain and was one of the strongest villains of the series, but he was a benchmark of power for the last 200 chapters of the manga, where Frieza was used as that benchmark, whether it be to gauge the full strength of characters like Trunks and the Cyborg 17 and 18, Android 16, eventually Cell, or he was used to explain how any of the Supreme Kaioshin were strong enough that they could defeat Frieza with a single ki blast, including Shin, and it was all done in order to allow us to directly scale Majin Buu. There wasn't a direct comparison by name here, but seeing how high these characters are scaling above Jigen, the vessel for Ishiki, is setting the stage for this discussion to be had, which it is inevitable for a battle shonen to have established benchmarks of power eventually get surpassed and raised. The other thing that stands out based on these leaks is that we appear to be in a situation where Konohamaru's hostility towards Boruto, while it is still there, he's still affected by omnipotence and will always remain affected by omnipotence until there's a way to reverse it that's revealed. As a reminder, just learning that his memory's been altered is not enough to do that. He is still showing some of the signs of beginning to see what Sarada told him in chapter 1 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, which is that everyone has been looking at Boruto the wrong way. It's not directly told to us why Konohamaru steps in here to protect Boruto from his blind side and not protect Himawari like he was ordered, but I don't think it's by mistake that he was shown doing so either, especially after Boruto's been shown using Minato's signature jutsu, using the Rasengan, and using another application of the Rasengan. It's something that you do have to keep your eyes on moving forward. I haven't seen a page as of the recording of this video that says or shows if Konohamaru even reacted to Boruto using the Rasengan, but you have to at the very least think that some kind of alarm bell has gone off in his head during this time, which has led to him stepping in here directly. If it isn't addressed in this chapter, I think that this will be something we see later on. Konohamaru, he's a lot of things. God knows I've made my fair share of jokes of Konohamaru, but he's not a big enough of an idiot to let something like this go unnoticed. The same way that Sasuke was keenly disturbed when he saw Boruto with his headband and he sensed Momoshiki inside of Boruto's body, Konohamaru is someone who we've said here on the channel for the last month stands a good chance at being one of the next people added to Boruto's camp, once he sees Boruto fighting in contrast to Kawaki, and that appears to be the case here. This is a series where we've been told that the body acts of its own accord as a reflection of the soul of the shinobi, hence why comrades are protected without the person even thinking twice about it. Their body just moves on its own. It'll be very interesting to see if there's more here to this right now. If Konohamaru is indeed waking up to the truth, it's going to become that much harder for Kawaki to continue keeping up with his lie in the process, and most interesting, Konohamaru, he is blocking Hidari's attack twice. This time he has more time to prepare for it. It's not at point blank range in the sense of Hidari's literally in front of his face and he's grabbing hold of his leg to try and penetrate him. It's enough here now that we see the full extent of that Rasengan spiraling barrier that we might need to buy those Konohamaru stocks while they're still on the rise, because the guy might not be getting one shot when Matsuri is the one that battles him when that eventually does happen. Now there's more that occurred in this chapter. It's a very action heavy chapter, so you're gonna read it very quickly, but I'm still waiting on the translation regardless of the Jura stuff and a few other things that take place so I can have full context on it, because otherwise it'd be irresponsible of me to report on it without having full context. The chapter review again will be up on either the 19th or the 20th, depending on when the chapter review editor gets the audio. I'm gonna try and have it for him tonight. He's about 13 to 14 hours ahead of me, so I'll try to get it to him before he gets too far into his day. In the meantime, click here on the left for my Every Beat Kamachi member explain video if you're a fan of Oshinoko and want to learn more about that series, and click here on the right for this newest Naruto explain video for those of you guys who want more Naruto content.